Number one goal, if you want to lose fat, is to focus on building lean muscle, because there's so many added benefits to this that when you start building lean muscle, you're going to be able to eat more, which is a given. Your body's going to be burning more calories because you're holding on to more muscle mass as opposed to more fat mass. And if you want to diet down to lose body fat, then you're at a greater advantage point because number one, you're allowing yourself to eat more. This creates more variety, creates more choice, and you're in a more comfortable situation to know that dieting isn't going to be taking a huge toll, and it's just going to be a lot more fun in the process of actually doing it because you're eating more, right? You have the joy of allowing yourself to eat more. What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Conscious Warrior Podcast. I am your host, Kuba Slawinski, and in this episode, we're going to be covering topics more related to dieting and building lean muscle. So the first question that we're going to address is, how much weight should I be dropping a week for sustainable results? Should I be taking a break from dieting? And the last question is, how long will it take for me to start seeing noticeable results in building muscle once stepping into the gym? So the first question, how much weight should I be dropping a week? Now, there's an average rule of thumb that if you want to lose around half a kilo a week, which is about 1 pound, then on estimate, you should be burning at least 500 calories a day or be in a calorie restrictive diet of 500 calories a day, adding up to 3,500 calories in a weekly scale. So in theory, if you drop 3,500 calories a week in the form of dieting or vigorous exercise, well, not vigorous exercise, but taking up physical activity, then you will lose half a kilo. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Yet this rule, it's been around since I first got into the health and fitness space around 4 or 5 years ago. It is a little bit flawed in the sense that it doesn't take into consideration how the body expends energy. Energy through the form of your metabolism, right? And your metabolism, it's influenced by your age, your height, your weight, your activity level, and in more scrutinizing detail, your training, as well as your diet protocol. If you really want to fast track fat loss, your number one goal and focus should be working towards building lean muscle, because lean muscle itself, it's an expensive tissue and it requires a lot of energy in order for it to be preserved and maintained. So how you build lean muscle is in the form of resistance training. This can be done through strength training, going to the gym, body weight training. It could be done through calisthenics, gymnastics, and various types of sports add a dimension of resistance training. Like when you look, for example, swimmers or cyclists, to some extent, they've built a great physique. Like cyclists, for example, they don't even step foot in the gym, but their legs are massive. Well, maybe some do, right? I'm generalizing here. But their legs are just absolutely massive. Their quads, their calves. Swimmers as well, they've got such a great taper from their shoulders down to their hips. They've got such a good shoulder to waist ratio. It's incredible. So whatever form of resistance training that you want to do that. And as long as you see yourself doing it for the long run, continue to do that. But your number one goal, if you want to lose fat, is to focus on building lean muscle. Because there's so many added benefits to this that when you start building lean muscle, you're going to be able to eat more, which is a given. Your body's going to be burning more calories because you're holding on to more muscle mass as opposed to more fat mass. And if you want to diet down to lose body fat, then you're at a greater advantage point because number one, you're allowing yourself to eat more. This creates more variety, creates more choice, and you're in a more comfortable situation to know that dieting isn't going to be taking a huge toll. And it's just going to be a lot more fun in the process of actually doing it because you're eating more, right? You have the joy of allowing yourself to eat more. So how much is a sustainable fat loss goal? Over the long term, you should be aiming towards losing around half a kilo to 1 kilo a week. So that's around 500 to 1,000 calories in either a calorie deficit or taking into consideration your physical activity. So again, this is just theory, right? And depending on where you are as an individual, if you just started your weight loss journey, your fitness journey, then you may be losing more than the sustainable result of half a kilo to 1 kilo a week. And this could be anywhere between 2 kilos, 4 kilos, 5 kilos a week. Your body is just wanting to become more efficient in just really shredding off the fat. So if you are, however, dieting too aggressively, then yes, you'll be losing fat, but you'll also be losing out lean muscle mass. You'll be losing out on muscle, not to mention adding to micronutrient deficiencies. So there was a study done that examined calorie restrictive diets on 3 different types of meal plans and its micronutrient profile. They looked at 3 plans, right? The first one being a vegan plan, the second one being a high animal protein, low carbohydrate plan, and they compared it to a balanced diet of eating your animal meats, your vegetables, and your starchy carbs. They all compared that to a 2,000 caloric base. So what they found was that the vegan diet failed to provide 90% of the recommended amounts of vitamin B12, B3, D, E, calcium, selenium, and zinc. The animal-based low carbohydrate approach had less than 90% daily recommended intake of vitamin B1, vitamin D, E, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Compared that to a base caloric meal plan of 2,000 in the well-balanced diet, it met all the daily recommended intake apart from vitamin D, calcium, and potassium. So once they made the adjustments of scaling up the calories of each meal plan, most of them filled up all the gaps required for them to have less amount of micronutrient deficiencies. But there were still some present. The vegan one still had vitamin B12 deficiencies. The animal-based diet, as well as the holistic or well-balanced diet, had deficiencies in calcium, and vitamin D deficiency was present in all 3. So this is pretty interesting. It shares in the limelight that if you are restricting your calories for too long of a period, or not take into consideration the different micronutrients that you need to optimize your health to function and operate normally, that could create a lot of havoc later down the track. Not to mention, it does raise the question, men compared to women, on average, men hold much more body weight. We consume a lot more calories than women, right? So if women are aiming towards wanting to lose fat and they're holding less body weight and they're consuming less calories, this does raise the question, are women susceptible to have more micronutrient deficiencies compared to men? This again has to go through a lot more further investigation to see whether or not it is true. But that does raise a little bit of awareness for women who always are so focused on wanting to lose fat. It is important that you do give yourself adequate amount of time to eat more calories, establish a better relationship with food, and back to that previous statement that I said, to focus on building lean muscle as opposed to always being in a calorie deficit, because micronutrient deficiencies, it can lead to metabolic dysfunction. It can lead to impacting cellular energy, which will get you feeling sluggish, tired all the time, make you feel sick, causes DNA damage and cellular aging, and it can lead to cancer. So if you are dieting, guys, just take into consideration, how long have you been doing it? Are you seeing any potential benefits in where you are right now? And do you need to give yourself a break? If you're feeling tired all the time, then you possibly might be dieting wrong. You shouldn't be hungry all the time when you're dieting, because if you are, you're probably not eating the right macronutrients. You're not eating the enough adequate amount for your goals for protein, fats, and carbohydrates. You may be not filling in the gaps of adding micronutrients into your diet. You may be skipping out on too much carbs. If you are having these cravings, then this is where I encourage you to explore different variety of foods. Mix your plate up with different colors of the rainbow in terms of your fruits, your vegetables. Mixing up your different types of lean proteins, your starchy carbs. If you're just starting your weight loss journey, your fitness journey, don't skip out on meals, because this leads the potential of you making a bad decision later down the track. You don't want to skip breakfast. Now, if you're someone that fasts and are really good at it and you're seeing the added benefits, Firstly, it's called intermittent fasting, right? You add it here and there into your lifestyle. You don't want to do it the entire time of your fitness journey or your health goals. Use it sporadically every now and then. So then that way you do get the benefits of both worlds of eating, multiple meals throughout the day or eating less meals throughout the day. Because when you eat breakfast, you're already starting the day off with a win because you're adding more nutrients in the body and you're leaving out less room for error in making a mistake when it comes down to being tempted in meals offered in a cafe, takeaway, restaurant, Uber Eats. Gets your cravings satisfied and allows you to stay on top of your goals. Make sure you're eating your protein, carbs, and fats. What's required for your goal? Drink adequate amount of water. I think a lot of us aren't drinking enough water. And on a symptom level, you may be feeling that you're getting headaches, tired, a little bit jittery. For me personally, when I don't drink enough water, I feel a lot more tense, a lot more anxious, and I can't think straight. So water is really important, and make sure that you are sticking to your water intake. Anywhere between 2 to 3 liters a day is good. And again, you don't want to drink this in one sitting. Break it down. It'll be like half a liter from breakfast to lunch to dinner, which is like 12 to 3, another half liter when you're exercising, and then half liter around dinner. And again, if you're drinking tea, then that is also contributed to your water intake. If you are kicking up some mad cravings throughout the day, then go towards a protein or a fat snack as opposed to going towards a carbohydrate snack. So the next question we're going to be addressing is, should you take a diet break? So if you've been starving yourself, not eating enough food, basically just being in a calorie restrictive diet for a while, then I would highly encourage you to jump on a plan that is at maintenance. Now, this may be silly because a lot of us have the focus and intention that we want to look our best, and looking our best is generally holding less body fat. We want to look like that Spartan warrior. We want to look like that Amazonian queen. But yet, realistically, what we see on social media isn't telling us the full story. A lot of these people are living in the gym. A lot of them have amazing genetics, have amazing work ethic, that they are really dedicating a lot of their time in the gym. Some of them even maybe taking performance enhancing drugs, right? Let's be real. Myself, when I was on stage, I realized the amount of sacrifice that was needed in order for me to maintain that lean body fat, as well as be on the regiment of understanding how much calories I'm consuming throughout the day. It can be done, but it is a huge sacrifice at the end of the day, and you have to be disciplined AF. So it's really important that you understand to take these diet breaks, not only on what we discussed previously about replenishing your micronutrients, but also establishing a better relationship with yourself and food. What ends up happening is when you reach a point of starvation, or if you've been in a place where you're restricting your calories to a great extent, your body's leptin levels decline. And leptin is a hormone that balances your body's food intake and energy use. Leptin communicates to the brain that we have high amounts of energy, fat, stored, and ready for use. So when you diet for too long, leptin levels go low. And you may be at a point where you either don't have much body fat to shred, or you've just been in a calorie deficit for too long. So the leptin response has been blunted. It's not effective. It's not in good use. So the brain says, okay, we're low on food, hinting that we have low body fat present. So we're going to slow the metabolism down. We're going to slow the metabolism down because we don't know if we're going to get any more nutrients. There was a famous study done called the Matador study where they examined 2 groups. One, dieting down consistently over a few weeks. And then another group, which was restricting their calories, then increasing it, restricting it again, and then increasing it. In the same time period, both groups ate the same amount of calories. But those who strategically surged their calories up and down for 2-week intervals had better fat loss and better body composition. This is amazing. The proof is in the pudding. That if you learn how to increase your calories back to maintenance, when you establish that relationship that you don't always have to be in a deficit, to see incredible results. You get best of both worlds. You just allow yourself to have more of that confidence and more control over knowing what is needed. Because when you look at it this way, you have to think of the metabolism as a sponge. That if you keep squeezing the sponge, that eventually there's just going to be no water coming out of the sponge. And if you strategically put that sponge in a bucket of water and just hold it there for a while, then over time, that sponge is going to be saturated with water. And then you can go again using that sponge to the best of its ability. Same thing as your metabolism. Same thing as dieting. You want to learn how to diet, then increase your calories back up. Learn to diet again, increase it back up. And in the long run, you're getting that education, you're getting that knowledge, and you're just enhancing the quality of life and having a better relationship with food, training, and yourself. And look, you're going to look better in the long run too, because you're not going to be stressing the body or stressing your mind. Based on studies that the results is just going to be 10x. So how long would it take to start seeing results in the gym in building muscle to reach my goal if I first started? This is an interesting question because when I first started, I was doing the same thing over and over again for the first, let's say, 3 years. And I was just getting most of my research from bodybuilding magazines. And they just had the one basic generic training program of training 10 reps, 12 reps. And I got some pretty good results in my first 3 years. I'm not going to lie. But then eventually I hit a plateau. I just could not progress any forward in terms of developing my body. And I realized, what the heck, what's going on? And it wasn't until I changed my training program, it wasn't until I started researching, investing in coaches and trainers that literally allowed me to get out of my head and into backed up research and evidence that there's other plans out there. If you want to achieve a different result, you need to start doing different things. And once I did that and applied that, I saw a tremendous amount of growth in 1 year. So if you're first starting out, you'll see incredible results in a year. If you have an amazing training program, if you understand nutrition and following a meal plan to achieve your goals. You know what? You could even see crazy results in 3 months' time. But that just comes down to your discipline, your ability to challenge your mindset, to challenge your belief system if you think the plan is working, and if you have a body of evidence that the plan is going to work based on what the research says, based on if you've invested in a trainer, based on you training with a training buddy that has a huge amount of experience and they know what they're doing. If a training program incorporates different types of training stimulus, such as tension, changing up different angles, tempo control, and it incorporates different principles such as increasing intensity of lifting heavier weights, adding more volume in the forms of more sets, more reps, and manipulating density, which is the work in how much you compress different types of exercises in a short amount of time. If a workout program has got all that, wow, that is how you develop your dream body. It's so basic and it should be. The hard part is executing on the basic over a long period of time and changing slight variables in order for you to start seeing that result. So if you're stuck, like I was in the first 3 years, start challenging your belief system. Start challenging a plan. If you don't have a plan, well, that's why you're stuck. That's why you are exactly where you need to be, because you haven't changed and you haven't actually gone forward and getting out of your comfort zone to reach out for help or to actually go into the literature and research what work needs to be done for you to move from point A to point B. So guys, that is a wrap. So summarizing today's episode, how much weight should I be dropping a week? If you're first starting out your fitness journey and you've got a lot of weight to lose, then 2 kilos, 4 kilos, 5 kilos should be a good place until your body becomes efficient of not wanting to hold that much body fat before it stabilizes to a half a kilo to 1 kilo a week average, right? You don't want to be dieting too aggressively because that way you're not only losing fat, but you're losing muscle mass. And your number one focus, if you want to start losing fat is to build lean muscle, because lean muscle is an expensive tissue, requires more calories in the form of energy, that in order for you to preserve lean muscle, you need more food. And you need to train towards that response through resistance training. If you want to diet from that point of view, you're at a really good place, because not only do you have more muscle, but you can actually eat more. And when you're dieting and restricting calories, you're at a good place because you have more variety and choices to make because of where you're at, holding more lean muscle mass. Be careful if you are dieting too much, too frequently, because this can add to more micronutrient deficiencies. So it's really important that you do either supplement to fill in the gaps, fill in the potholes, or strategically add an increase of calories back to maintenance, so then that way you aren't stressing the body out. Dieting breaks are super important because, yeah, you establish a better relationship with yourself, food, and training, but also it allows your body to have a break and allow it to be saturated with more nutrients in order for it to go back into the diet phase. So then that way you start shaping your body for greater fat loss and also improve your body composition. And if you want to start seeing incredible results in building lean muscle when first stepping into the gym, make sure you do have a plan in place. So then that way you know exactly what needs to be done. And a great successful plan is achieved by incorporating stimulus from tension, varying training angles, tempo control, and different training principles of lifting heavy, adding more volume in sets and reps, as well as manipulating the density of how much sets you're compressing in a given amount of time. And this could be either in the form of reducing rest period or just really cramming up drop sets and supersets. And this isn't all done in one workout program, just to mention, guys. This is done in the course of phases. Phases either running through a duration of 3 weeks, 4 weeks before changing a different principle in order for you to achieve a new stimulus. So guys, I hope you found this helpful. If you feel like a friend could benefit from this, that they are needing help in terms of bettering their health, fitness, or mindset, like, comment, and share this podcast, and stay tuned for the next episode. Peace and much love.